Hey everyone, Sylvia here, again with opinions about Wheel of Time, namely Eye of the World. Again, a lot of stuff that happened. Let me slow down for a bit. I think that the event singular that happened, or rather the encounter that Rand had with Elaine, the heir to the throne, the daughter of the queen, and Gawain, her brother, in their palace, was kind of seemingly random. I enjoyed kind of the dynamic between the brother and sister, the court atmosphere, the contrast between the Aes Sedai that was the Aes Sedai that is advisor to the queen, and the Aes Sedai that we know and love, Moiraine. I just thought it was kind of off pacing wise, because it kind of, at least I thought, the mood, the flow of the book kind of went into reverse somewhere. Suddenly here is this Rand getting himself into trouble, which he is an expert in, but falling into the garden. How convenient. Yes, I know. The wheel, falling into the garden of the most important person in the whole realm, and being, well, not forced, but yeah, he had no choice to reveal himself that he is this dude from Two Rivers. But the queen takes a look at him. No, you're not. You're an Loial man. At least you look like one. Okay, sure, you have an accent that kind of marks you as a person from Two Rivers, and you can go. Okay, sure. And one more thing about his encounter, that Egwene. So one issue, and this is not an issue with writing, I think is just with her character. I'm trying to understand her here. Egwene. To jump a bit into the plot, of course, the rest of the group reunites in the inn. Rand meets the others. He meets Perrin and Moiraine and Nynaeve and Egwene, the whole shebang. And he tells his story, incredible story of him accidentally meeting the queen and queen's daughter. And Moiraine listens carefully, and she's like, yeah, sure, this was weird, but okay. She takes it as a fact. And then the group kind of spreads out, and he has a conversation with Egwene, and she doesn't believe him, or at least she doesn't seem to believe him, because she asks him a question, and he's like, yeah, but Elaine said this and this, or something along those lines, and she just scoffs and say, why can't you be serious? And this isn't the first time she did this, but previously when she did this, she kind of was dismissive because Rand was a bit of a too possessive. At least I think he was a bit of a Rand. But here, I don't understand. Moiraine acknowledges that this thing indeed happened, because he did say all these things about the court that there's no way Rand could have known by himself, even just details about his encounter with the other Aes Sedai. I what's her deal? Is she jealous? Is she just being stubborn? Is she annoying? I think she is being annoying, to be honest. Is she being too self-centered at that moment? Maybe I'm just reading too much into it. I was just... What the frick? Gwen, why are you being like this? What's the matter? But, moving on. So the group is reunited. And Matt is still being awful. He insults Loial. And I will never ever forgive him for that. Well, to be a little more serious on that matter, yes, of course. It was the dagger. Of course. It backfired. Of course. It's a super duper strong curse. It's this horrible thing. Of course. It was just so obvious. Not a fan of this, to be honest. And again, everyone was, oh, is this really Ran? Who is this? After Matt, oh, sorry, is this Ran? Is this Matt? So Matt completely regresses into this paranoid, vile, just unpleasant, Smeagol-light creature. Not physically, he just emotionally, as a character, becomes this super unpleasant person. And there's a scene, Moraine goes in there to see him because Nynaeve failed to cure him because, there's not really nothing to cure. It's not biological. He's not ill. He is ill, but he's cursed. And she reacts, which she rarely does. She has this momentary reaction. She pulls off Nynaeve off Matt and explains to everyone, our Matt here, he is possessed. I told you, I asked you, I was not messing around when I said, did you take anything from the cursed city? No, we didn't. Rand, I think you're partially at fault. There is a line between not being a narc, supporting your friend, not giving out their secrets for, when it matters. It's like, mate, this is my wife. Could you tell her that we had a drink last night? Yeah, we totally did, bro. When in fact he was not taking a drink, he was probably, I don't know, on a poker game. Something minor. But here, kind of the stakes are so high. Why are they behaving like this? I guess they're young. Whatever, but still. So, not Nynaeve, Moraine manages to kind of remedy the whole situation, but not fully. She explains that all she did was reverse the effects of his kind of this rot that began happening in Matt, of this taint, and she contained it. But it's gonna return again if some much more stronger Aes Sedai unless some stronger Aes Sedai are involved, and her alone, this is not her. Not exactly her expertise, I guess. So Matt is back, quote unquote, to his old self, and the first thing he says, oh, you can't blame a man for saying things when he was not himself. I understand he was being cheeky, but come on, man. You can't be this kind of guy. You can't be Chandler Bing 24/7. I acknowledge your mistake just a little bit. I don't think his apology was all that sincere. I guess the older I get, the more I become less tolerant for people who are like this. It's okay to be a man-child. It's okay to be sarcastic. It's okay to make light of the situation here and there, but there are times when you can be, yeah, sorry, I messed up, but we're still friends, right? And then you get back to your old self and spouting jokes and yeah. But to more pleasant things. There was this passage that I kind of almost want to frame on my wall, where Rand takes his friend to the library so they can talk there, and the image of Loial reading in front of the fireplace with a cat curled up on his lap is just too perfect for words, because when the others see him and they freeze, and the contrast between those two things, here is this very proper looking, huge, ginormous ogier, and of course the others have the similar reaction to him. Their first association is, oh, this is a Trolloc reading a book with a cat. I mean, I could picture it so clearly. Grandma's slippers, a glass of tea or wine on the desk. Oh, it's just too good for this world. Loial is precious. Is a precious boy, and I'm happy he's joining their party. But I hope, Robert Jordan, that nothing happens to him. He is a good boy, 90-year-old boy, by his people's standards. So no, I don't want for anything bad to happen to him. So, and after this, well, I have several questions. So, a conversation between them happens about, so Loial reiterates that he wants to accompany them, and Moiraine, of course, is not up to speed that he'll be joining them. She, of course, knows what ogiers are and so on and so forth. But I don't remember, and I apologize, I did made a note. At one point, I think it is Moiraine, but if it's not, again, I'm sorry. No, I don't think it's Moiraine. I think it's Rand. Anyway, someone keeps listing things or creatures that are and can be after them. So they mentioned Myrtles, the Fades. They mentioned Trollocs. They mentioned Dark Friends, and then they mention Dreadlords. And I believe this is the first mention of Dreadlords. So what are they? Are they something like above the Fates? Are they the muscle, or they're like lieutenants of the Dark One? Are they like rank higher than the Fate? If they are, cool. They sound pretty ominous and cool. What else? Oh yeah, a lot of stuff. And another question. So also the first mention of Black Aja. So at first I was not paying attention through the book, and I just thought that Ajar, this collective term for the sort of Aes Sedai Inquisition that hunts mainly male one power users because they go cray-cray. But apparently there are several factions, and there was a mention of of several factions within Talvaran. What's the name of the Aes Sedai place? That there are several factions of Aes Sedai. They sort of hold same beliefs. They have similar goals of resisting the Dark One and his plans and his goons and stuff. But their methods and their ideology on how to achieve that can vary. So now we know that there's at least 3: Red Aja, Blue Aja, and Black Aja. And we find out that Moraine is Black Aja, which, from the sounds of it, she is someone who is a bit less aggro, more rational, with a more accepting attitude, I guess. She's not so absolutist, if that's the word. Then other Ajas, Black Aja sounds like they're the Gestapo. I don't know. But yeah. Who is the Green Man? Doesn't matter. I'll find out. I'm sure I'll find out. Also something very predictable happens, which is the boys finally give up their secret. They revealed to Moraine that they have been having these dreams, and of course she says that, "You backwards idiots, have you learned nothing? If you had said something, I could have done something, blah blah blah. This was expected. I knew this was gonna happen, so whatever." But the significant thing that happened was that their goal shifts a bit. So if the eye of the world is in danger, then that sort of changes their outlook on the situation at large. And conveniently, they need to leave the town because, well, Matt's cursed object, the dagger, he cannot part from him because he'll die unless, it's completely severed by the other Aes Sedai. But they need to take their journey through what's called the Way, which is a cool concept. It's kind of a bit sci-fi-ish concept of magical wormholes, gates. It's kind of the paths that Ogiers have built between their sanctuaries, and the actual pathways exist out of reality. I'm not sure if that means they exist out of kind of spins of the wheel, or it's just a fancy way of saying that they're kind of in a negative space, neither here nor there. So that's why people, namely not people, but Ogiers, can travel through it. And Loial is a bit hesitant because he never used this particular path and so on and so forth, but he agrees. And there's this edict of the elders he doesn't want to break. That's also interesting. I want to know more about Ogier culture because, well, like I said, I don't want to spoil myself or anything, so I don't have a frame of reference. I don't know how many different races are in Wheel of Time, especially now. I'm very early in the whole series. I'm like at the end of the first book, but so far we had Trollocs, which are kind of orcs, more or less. Then we had Fades, which are not Nazgul, but I have been told by kind viewers that they do kind of become less Nazgulish in nature. Not that there's a retcon or anything, it just Robert Jordan recontextualizes them as beings. Then we have Ogiers. Ogiers worship nature, but they're not elves. They're this huge, burly, long-lived people. There's also a difference. I don't remember if anyone ever commented, which I don't think they did, on what's the lifespan of a Trolloc, because we don't know that Ogiers live several human lifespans. I mean, Loial is 90 and he's still considered very young, and the elders of his society would not let him go. He went out himself because he read so many adventure travel books, and he caught the adventure bug and he went out. So I'd be curious to find out more about their society, how they work. Also, what are other races? I mean, I don't think that Ogiers are any shape or form in a cliche. There's certainly an archetype. There is an archetype very common in fantasy works of a race that's usually older than humanity. Usually they are lower in number than human race, and also usually they are very nature-centric, in tune with nature, and certainly that's the impression, the description of Ogiers that we get, the sort of reverence they have for the trees, for the green, the sort of value they hold, they prescribe to the specific trees. It's all very interesting. It's an archetype, like I said, but it's not a cliche. So I'm wondering if there's another race that has an archetype that you would usually give to, for example, again, Ogiers. They're these big fantasy creatures, and usually you would, if I saw them in an illustration, I'd say, oh, these are, I don't know, warrior people. But no, they're not. They are tribalistic society, I think. But their sort of culture and attitude is more that of the classic elves. Anyway, I'm just spouting nonsense now. But thank you for watching. I do hope to find out. Oh, one other question. So what's with the splinter? I think it goes back to the question about the dark friends that I asked in previous videos. I still don't know how the Dark One recruits dark friends, his followers, and the way his power, his influence manifests through dreams, even though they're not exactly dreams, they're visions, into the real world is still kind of vague to me. So back when there was the incident with the rats and broken spines, we had actual dead rats in the streets that freaked out Rand. Now we had a splinter that somehow latched in deep inside Rand's palm, and when Rand took it out, it disappeared. So what's the deal? Is it just, does it say vague in the future, in the Dark One's influence? And I want to make something clear. I absolutely have no favorites between hard and soft magic systems. I love both equally. I love when something has an approach of sort of rules and hard consequences. Something like Brandon Sanderson, of course, he's a always go-to example of doing hard magic system right, without it being boring, without it feeling like a chore to read, without it reading like someone's report on D&D session when someone else is metagaming, only focusing on, very specific technical stuff. I love both equally. I'm just curious, will it ever be cleared up? Does it always stay that way? Is just, wait, both hard and soft magic in sort of inexperienced writers' hands can come off as cheap, because in hard magic systems, when an author who is not well adapted for a hard magic system, they may go overboard, and again the characters and plot development and everything else can just fall victim and be in a distant second place to the actual system. So it could be just like reading a spreadsheet. Yeah, this person has clearly, figured a system out, but where's the story? Where are the characters? Why should I care about this thing happening in a very specific order or not happening? And on the other hand, when you have soft magic systems, underwritten poor writers' hands can come off as too much of a Deus Ex Machina. This happened because magic. Okay, you have magic, but what about it? No, it happened because of magic. Magic happened because I had to, get a character from point A to point B so I can move the plot point D forward. That's literally why it happened. But this makes no sense. No, this is magic. But no, magic. So I'm not saying that Robert Jordan is a poor writer at all. I enjoy his work a lot. I'm just curious, will the series go more into the more specific, more exact magic, or more vague medical magic, for the lack of a better term? So, without further ado, fellow fans of the written word and Wheel of Time, thank you for watching, and see you next time. Bye.